Good morning, everyone. My name is Olha Kulyna, and I am from Lviv Polytechnic National University, the Department of Applied Linguistics. Today, I would like to present my paper entitled Anthropocentrism as Implementation of a Testatrix Communicative Goal. The aim of this article is to provide the detailed analysis of verbs used in English last wills and testament, as well as to show that they are means of implementation of a Testatrix communicative goal within the anthropocentric paradigm. To use a method of automated searching of certain linguistic units, MathLab. The study's main aim is to set out the following task. The first one, to identify the notion of anthropocentrism in linguistics and to analyze the main approaches to it. The second aim is to provide the insights into the classification of words based on semantic features. The third one is to analyze verbs used in wills with regards to lexical-semantic groups. And the last aim is to prove that verbs are means of anthropocentric implementation of a Testatrix communicative goal in the text of English last wills and testaments. The object of the research is text of wills written in England in the period between 1837 and 2015. The subject of the research is lexical-semantic groups of verbs which express a Testatrix communicative goal from viewpoint of anthropocentric paradigm in English last wills and testaments. The corpus of the research contains 400 wills written in England between 1877 and 2015, last wills and testaments written before 1859 were obtained from National Archive of Great Britain, and wills composed after that year were again at the government website of the United Kingdom. The novelty of the research is provided by the fact that lexical-semantic verbs in English last wills and testaments as means of implementation of a Testatrix communicative goal from viewpoint of anthropocentric paradigm are studied for the first time with the implementation of a software for automated searching of certain linguistic units, MathLab. And now I would like to pay attention to methodology. So general scientific methods such as descriptive, modeling, and contextual interpretation analysis have been used in the research. The deductive method is used to observe and analyze data in order to predict the outcome. Method of observation, comparison, classification, generalization, and interpretation, which are essential for a descriptive methods, are used to provide classification of verbs based on semantic features. The electronic form of the experimental array of text enable the usage of a software of automated searching of certain linguistic units, MathLab, and the establishment of frequency of their usage, the results of which, however, sometimes required manual processing. Calculations and means of systematization played an important role as well to help analyze the corpus of the research. So, and then I will present the results and findings of the paper. As demonstrated by graph 1, 8,696 verbs have been singled out to express a testator, testatrix communicative goal from the view of anthropocentrism in the text of English last wills and testaments. Verb of bequest have the largest number. The second come verbs to denote appointment of fiduciaries. The third, verbs for self-proving affidavit. And verbs to show the act of revocation are the smallest in number. One of the reasons for that might be the fact that a revocation part is the smallest in the last will and testament and is optional as well. Let us consider each lexical-semantic group to understand the interaction of a testator, testatrix communicative goal and its implementation with a choice of verbs. So graph 2 demonstrates verbs of bequest and their usage. 10 verbs are used in this lexical semantic group. The total amount, 6,062. So here we single out such verbs as give, dispose, bequest, declare, direct, further, devise, leave, will, command, commit, advance. Verbs give, dispose, bequest, and declare are considerably larger than other verbs to denote the act of disposing money or other type of property. Graph 3 presents verbs to denote appointment of fiduciaries. Verbs appoint, entitle, and vest are used the most frequently in the text of English last wills and testaments. Other verbs in this group are approximately the same in number: assign, constitute, nominate, and empower. So the total number of verbs in this category is 1,462. As demonstrated by graph 1, verbs for self-proving affidavit is 7 times as small as verb of bequest and almost twice as small as verbs to denote appointment of fiduciaries. Graph 4 presents the quantitative statistic of verbs for self-proving affidavit in last wills and testament investigated in the article. In this lexical and semantic group, we only have 4 verbs, which consist of, in total, 834 items. So here we have such verbs as sign, subscribe, sad, and acknowledge. The smallest in number is a group of verbs to show the act of revocation, only 338 verbs. Graph 5 provides information about the usage of verbs which denote the act of revocation. Revoke is the most used in this lexical and semantic group. So it consists of 240 verbs, which is 71% in this category. The number of other verbs used in this category is quite different. Make, void, only slightly more than 12%, rescind 6%, and annual about 6% too. So in this category, we have one more verb, disallow, which is only 4.5%. Attention should be paid to automated searching of certain linguistic units singling them out into categories and creating graphs presented in the article. The algorithm for extracting data from the text, preliminary data analysis, and subsequent visualization of the result in the form of graphical diagram was as follows. So initially, data were retrieved by reading text files that contain different data type, as well as headers and delimiters. Then the import of heterogeneous data type took place. They were extracted from arbitrary formatted text files. The next step was to import the required columns of data from a text file. If the data were stored in different files, but belonged to the same class, the next step was to import and merge data from multiple files. The purpose of processing raw imported data was to classify them according to certain features by extracting, converting, aggregation, and determining the percentage in accordance with the full text. There was no data with missing elements, so processing with such data was not conducted. The results of previous action allowed to create a categorical data set with the possibility of further editing. Then aggregation, arrangement, recalculation of the available groups of data, if necessary, took place. The next step was to customize the visualization by viewing and converting standard graphs to create informative user information in a convenient format. Next stage was certain properties of graphic objects and their associated values were determined. Selection and transformation of graphic object was done empirically. The last step was the final adjustment of the graphs by changing the local properties. As a result, the diagrams presented in the article were obtained. The program MathLab was chosen compared to others as it allows to use and process a large database. Computation is done easily, as well as data analysis and visualization are performed extensively. And now let's come to the conclusion. The research shows that English last wills and testament contain 4 communicative goals by which a testator, Testatrix, implements their last will. These goals include action of bequest, appointment of fiduciaries, self-proving affidavit, and revocation of a previous will. Lexical-semantic groups of verbs are used to implement a testator-testatrix goal. It should be noted that these verbs are analyzed from the anthropocentric viewpoint. A testator uses a lexical-semantic group of verbs to express a testator-testatrix communicative goal, to communicate the last will. He/she performs the action of bequest, appoints fiduciaries, self-proves, and performs the act of revocation using anthropocentric verbs of speech and relying on clearly established by law forms of expressions which are common for the text of inheritance law. Verbs give, dispose, and bequest are the most frequently used of testamentary vocabulary. Frequency is given in graph 1, as well as in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and the 5th graphs, and belong to the anthropocentric vocabulary of speech according to the Appresence classification. Attention should be paid to the automated searching of certain linguistic units, singling them out into categories and creating graphs presented in the article. The algorithm for extracting data from the text, preliminary data analysis, and subsequent visualization of the results in the form of graphical diagram. These findings suggest that further research should be conducted to assess last wills and testament from the viewpoint of philosophy and psychology. In further investigation, it might be possible to use the latest research in philosophy to determine the reasons for existence of such a document, its role in the person's life, and great need for it when reaching the end. Last will and testament as a document of legal doctrine can be regarded as a significant material to study the author's personality. It would give us a deeper dive into the insights of personality types, individual strengths and weaknesses, and communication style. Thank you very much for the attention.